Hi, I'm MarzGurl.
And I'm JoshKnightTheFirst.
And welcome to episode 34 of MokkoriPlay, the only podcast dedicated solely to all things City Hunter.
On today's podcast, we're going to cover episode 34 of City Hunter, titled Shock! Ryo's a Papa! Don't wake that sleeping child!
Don't wake child.
I was thinking it the whole episode. For anybody who doesn't remember that, there was this board game that came out in the 90s called Don't Wake Daddy.
Do they not make it anymore?
Like, I used to stock shelves in the toy department. I don't remember seeing that toy anytime recently. Which is weird because, like, they brought back some older games like, you know, Crossfire or Kerplunk. Stuff I remember from the early 90s.
Mousetrap never went anywhere.
Mousetrap never went anywhere. They just turned the pieces from metal to cheap plastic.
And then it didn't work anymore.
And then it sucked, yeah.
But Don't Wake Daddy was like, you had to race to go to, the fridge in the middle of the night or something, and there's this little toy piece of a man sleeping in his bed with a nightcap, and if you triggered the wrong thing on the board, he sat up in bed and his nightcap flew off his head.
Yeah. And that was the jingle, don't wake Daddy. But we're not dealing with that. We're dealing
with Papa. I mean, at a certain point, I might have translated it to Daddy instead, but we understand what a Papa is, I guess.
Yeah,
we just don't say it a lot.
Well, I think it depends on the part of the country you're from.
Well,
Some
that's
people
true. Also, the culture of the family that's saying it. I think a lot of white Americans probably don't say Papa.
I mean, it just depends.
Maybe rich people.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. That is not a thing I would have said. I just said dad.
Same.
Okay, cool.
So this week's episode, we're going to go ahead and start off right now. It turns out that Ryo and Kaori are going to get a crash course in how they might do as parents.
Spoilers! Maybe they would be okay with it if it happened.
Yeah, like, there's a lot leaning in that direction this week. So we'll go ahead and start off, as we usually do, at Ryo's apartment. It's, regular opening morning. I imagine if this was a sitcom, this is where you hear the opening applause of, like, hey, the cast is on screen.
And also, this series is filmed before a live studio audience.
Back when they did that sort of thing. So yeah, Kaori's cooking breakfast. Ryo's just chilling out on the bench. And then they hear a knock at the door. Kaori's like, hey, can you get that? Ryo's like, all right, fine, I'll go check. Goes and checks the door. Doesn't immediately see anybody there.
But it's because a tiny child has just skirted her way on in through the door. And when he closes the door and turns around, haha, surprise child!
This is the cutest kid, all right? Her name is Nana. We imagine she only seems to be about 3, at best 4 years old.
Right.
This is a toddler.
She's a toddler for sure. She's got this panda backpack. It's real cute. She's got, I guess it's like a little jumper or overalls. Little toddler overalls. Little toddler Oshbagosh overalls.
Yeah, and immediately has affection toward Ryo. Immediately starts calling him Papa.
I mean, we figure out a little later on, well, that may be because there's not a Papa in the picture. So she just sort of saw another one and decided, yep, that's who you are.
And immediately latches on. And Ryo is understandably taken aback, like, hey, I don't have any kids out there, do I? And Kaori starts kind of dicking with him a little bit, like, hey, are you sure you don't have anyone out there? Like, are you sure you covered all your bases?
And Ryo, actually has to sit and think, let me think about how old this kid is. And Kaori's like, yeah, you're not really sure, are you? He's like, yeah, actually, the ladies really liked me in my younger days. And Kaori's like, never mind, I don't want to hear about it. I shouldn't have asked. Like, she doesn't say I shouldn't have asked, but she
that's
really
the implication.
She should not have asked, actually.
I mean, like, do you or do you not want to know Ryo's sexual history? I would imagine not.
I would only want to know insofar as if I get into a relationship with someone, do they or do they not have a child? So that I can plan for that. That might not automatically negate someone from being an open possibility, but it would get me ready for, am I really ready to be with this person who is also attached to other family?
Now, looking through this panda backpack that Nana is carrying with her, she has 2 things in there. One is a little hand puppet of a rabbit, and the other is this note that has XYZ on it. So this kid is here on purpose.
And the kid probably doesn't know it. Kid probably can't read the alphabet.
Probably not yet.
Yeah.
We can legitimately say this kid has not yet learned shapes yet, probably.
Well, I don't know about shapes. Like, at best, she might know some hiragana, but I have severe doubts serious doubts that she knows the Romanized alphabet.
Well, Ryo goes ahead and takes a look at this note, which says, "This child is in danger. We need you to take care of her. Please do so." And that's all there is to it. Nothing else. No signing of who it's from. Just the note saying, take care of this kid.
You would assume, then, if they said XYZ, is this a paying gig?
I was going to ask that myself. Like, if you know well enough, like, okay, I have sent you to City Hunter, which brings up another point we've brought up here on the podcast before. How do people know Ryo's address and phone number?
Yeah, like, they know how to contact him publicly, but that should be a wholly different thing. And also, if you're doing this, it should be under the assumption of, look, I'll come back for this kid later, and when I do, you'll get the money for taking care of her. This would not be the first time that Ryo has been considered something of a babysitting service.
Which is kind of really either underselling or overselling just what his capabilities as a sweeper are.
But then again, if they really think the kid is like in danger, then that's a different thing. Like, there's babysitting included, but if they're concerned like, oh my god, this kid might die, then maybe that's a different thing.
Now, as he's inspecting the note, Ryo goes ahead and gets a sniff of something coming off, a faint aroma of some sort, and realizes, wait a minute, I know that scent. This is the scent of a married woman! And I'm not sure whether or not that was, like, my read on that was that he smelled it and he's like, damn, it's a married woman, I can't hit on her easily.
Yes, but, and I understand why you would come to that conclusion, but they're using that same repeated animation. We brought it up before in the past that once they start using it, they use it several times throughout the series, where the camera pans around him from a low angle, and he's real excited and real fired up, and flames start flaming up behind him all over the place, and he's screaming. Like, that animation is never used unless he is excited, and then Kaori comes in with the hammer and hits him with it and tells him to stop being perverted in front of a child, which makes me think Ryo is really into married women?
I mean, like, dude, you have enough skis going on to begin with. We don't need more.
I mean, he can be into married women so long as he doesn't actively pursue a married woman and then becomes a homewrecker.
Yeah, but it reminded me, we were actually talking about this earlier tonight, of this Simpsons joke where Homer could smell what was written on a birthday cake. And then Bart saying, you think that's weird? He can also hear fudge. Like, Ryo can smell marriage.
I mean, maybe. He's actually kind of not wrong, but he also kind of is wrong here.
He's half right. Let's put it that way. He's just half right.
We'll find out later that he's only half right about his
assumptions.
His assumption that this is a married woman that has sent this letter.
I just love that on top of that, after Kaori hits him with the 100-ton hammer, Nana immediately picks up like this is totally her family and says like, and that's Mama hitting Mokkori Papa with the hammer and punishing him, and immediately dubbing him Mokkori Papa, which again makes me think, all right, like, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. We know it's Nana's mother that has sent her to be taken care of by Ryo.
Sure.
So what was that conversation like? Okay, baby, I'm going to put you in this cab. You're going to get out at this address, and you're going to go up to this floor, and you're going to get out there. There's going to be a man at the door. You're going to call him Mokkori Papa. He's a weirdo.
No. She's only calling him Mokkori Papa because she just heard Kaori use the word Mokkori. That's why. But starting to call them Mama and Papa, I think she's just playing a game and she thinks this is fun.
I mean, I wonder how much of a game it is. Like, I do feel like there's some sort of familial respect that's given by Nana, maybe because, as we understand later on in the episode, she doesn't exactly have the best home life right this second.
Sure.
And so, for her, this is some kind of a wish fulfillment.
Well, maybe with the dad, yes. As far as Kaori is concerned, though, I think she's just like, okay, this is just completing the game that we're playing.
Perhaps.
She knows it's not real, especially because her mom, supposedly, we're thinking it's her mom, has just dropped her off at this building, and maybe her mom, kind of like you said, gave her instructions like, hey, go play with these two people for today.
Perhaps.
Probably didn't want to freak her daughter out, because obviously, Nana's not scared. She's not freaked out
which tells me the mom talked to her ahead of time.
Yeah.
But in any case, Ryo and Kaori have a kid to take care of now, so they decide to go ahead and do that, and the first thing they need to do is get provisions, which means they need to go to the local mall.
So they go to the mall, and they do some shopping, while Ryo does some other kind of shopping.
Shopping with his eyes.
He's looking at butts, Josh.
He's looking at legs. He's looking at legs.
It's lingering at that skirt, though.
Yeah, but even Kaori catches him and comments on the legs.
I mean, yeah, that too. But he is also an ass man.
He's an all-woman man.
That's true. But it's funny that Nana actually saves him, because Kaori could come out and hit him with a hammer right at that moment, and the kid decides to say, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom, which Ryo takes as, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to GTFO, and he grabs the kid and goes around the corner to the bathroom.
And even Kaori's like, ugh, you got out of this one.
But he literally did, because as soon as he says, all right, there's the bathroom, go ahead, Nana's just like, I don't actually have to go, I just didn't want Mama to hit you.
I mean, that's funny, but it's also terrible. It's also funny.
Funny, but really sad also.
What is funny, though, is in this scene, we notice that Ryo is kind of laden down with a bunch of different things like a camera, a water bottle, a purse, and a bag that happens to have the comedy crow on it.
Yeah, it's cute. It's like a comedy crow and a baby comedy crow. So it's like a little family of comedy crows.
Family of comedy crows. And then next up, we get one of two different, and they're kind of back-to-back here, montages here in the show. The first one we get here is at the mall, is a montage of everybody having fun, while again, Go-Go Heaven is playing.
What do we got to do? It's just kind of playing over some loudspeakers somewhere.
Yeah.
I think they have visited this mall before in the past in a previous episode, and at the top of this building
is an amusement
like
center.
A little amusement theme park looking thing. I'm pretty sure they have done this before.
Not that I can recall off the top of my head, but it's not like they won't do it again later, I don't think. But yeah, you see them at the arcade, you see them on the little, you see them a lot at malls now, these little go-karts that you ride on with your kids. At the mall, they're in the shape of like a bear or something, or a tiger.
I'm not so certain that it wasn't just bumper cars, because they were behind a fence.
Yeah, but
and we just didn't see the other cars.
I mean, yeah, but the closest thing I could relate it to nowadays would be those mall carts you see.
I mean, it's true, it was really small, but at the same time, because it was behind a fence, I don't know, it just felt like you could drive into another one if you felt like it.
Well, yeah, you could do that too at the mall. The only difference is at the mall,
they'll probably stop you.
Well, also at the mall, generally that's on the bottommost floor, and you're not worried about being on a roof. They need the fence there.
No, but this is like fenced in up in the middle of the roof. They're not being protected from the edge of the building. And Ryo
aren't they though?
But Ryo's hanging over the fence and watching Kaori and Nana drive around this car. So no, they're more like in the middle of this building, in the center of the roof, where they're all sequestered off. Sure, they need a fence to not fall off the roof, but it's in the middle of the roof. Do you understand what I mean?
I feel better knowing that fence is there for the safety of this child.
Oh, I don't disagree.
Okay, then we're on the same page.
Okay.
And clearly, Ryo's not having any of this. Like,
he's just really tired. That's
all.
It's
not what he wanted to be doing with his day.
Well, he doesn't so much say that, although I don't think you're wrong. But it's definitely the impression that when you have a kid, all of your energy is gone because you have given all of the energy to this child who has an overabundance of energy, just so much energy, and he's had it all sucked out of him from minute one.
Well, yeah, I was just at a theme park not too long ago, and just looking at other couples or other giant families having to wrangle more than one kid is draining, let alone just having one.
Sure.
Especially when, you've been living that nice single life, and then all of a sudden you have
a 4-year-old.
Yeah, you have this 4-year-old in your life that you have to take care of. Like, yeah, all your energy is going to be thrown out the window. So yeah, he's there on the bench, just like, oh my god, when are we going to be done here? I want to go home.
But then the kid hands him an ice cream cone, and he's like, hey, this is great. It says thank you in English, because it's a cool, fun thing to say when you're a Japanese person, and he just takes this big old chomp out of the ice cream, and the kid mimics him and says thank you in English, kind of, and then takes a chomp out of it.
And then I'm not sure if he's playing or if he's serious here. I'm saying he's playing here. He pretends to have brain freeze, and then Nana mimics having brain freeze as well.
No, I think he legitimately got a brain freeze because he took a huge bite out of it because it was funny, and then she just mimicked him because she just thought, oh, she saw this guy that she's really attached to do something that was kind of funny, and she just wants to do what he does.
See, my read on that was Ryo faked having brain freeze because he knew it would be funny to Nana.
Either way, he did something because he thought it was funny, because I think the big bite out of the ice cream was what he thought was funny.
Yeah, and then I think he rolled with it.
Maybe.
That's how I'm taking it. But point being, they're getting along great right now. And Kaori is very quick to pick up on this.
Points it out and everything, like, hey, you might actually be okay with kids. You might actually like them. And Ryo's just kind of like, huh? Taken off guard. And realizing he can't actually fight the idea that, you know what, maybe being a dad's not terrible.
And then, before this can be further investigated right this second, they ask Nana, okay, well, we're done here with the shopping. Where would you like to go now?
And she just says, Panda! And she, like, points at her backpack. And they're like, all right, Panda, that means the Ueno Zoo. Let's go to the zoo. Whee!
Very specifically, the Ueno Zoo.
Ueno.
There's another montage here of them interacting with all of these different animal exhibits.
Taking photographs with them.
Ryo yawning just like a hippo does. Or Kaori acting like she's got a long trunk like an elephant. And it's all very cute.
Hanging out with monkeys, whatever.
Look, Kaylin, monkeys.
Yeah, lots of them.
Now, this is dumb on my part because we just got done watching the finale of Spy Family. I almost, for 2 seconds, thought when they were in the large crowd scene that they were going to run into the forgers at the penguin exhibit.
You're way too early and also in a totally different country.
I know.
One that actually exists.
I know. I'm getting my anime mixed up. You were saying yourself we were watching too many on the weekends.
Yeah, I think I've been kind of overloaded with how much anime I've been having to watch in recent days. So, we finished off like 3 of them over the last 1 to 2 weeks. So I'm good. I'm good for a while.
Yes.
Just stick with City Hunter for a second
so
here.
it's just the pandas.
It's just the pandas.
No penguins, just pandas.
Yeah. Although I think there was a photo of them with the
No,
penguins
there was
for a second.
it was Nana and Ryo posing like the penguins.
Right.
Now, while Kaori, Ryo, and Nana are there at this very well-drawn panda exhibit, like, the amount of detail you see on the pandas is very high. Mm-hmm. We notice that there's a woman just off to the side, looking around the corner very lovingly toward Nana, and we can immediately assume, oh, this has got to be the mother.
Right, exactly, because the way she's looking at them is like, oh, I'm so glad she's okay and they're getting along, but I also really wish I could go be with my daughter, is just kind of the look that she's giving from way off to the side somewhere.
But also, off in another corner, there's another guy.
Also looking, but from farther away,
And
at
with
everyone.
And with more people around him, specifically his people. This is, we're told, the grandfather of Nana on her father's side, and he's got 3 thugs with him, and he is the whole reason there needs to be a bodyguard.
And he's like, she's the only thing left after my son died. Yeah! So you get this assumption of, oh, he really wants his granddaughter for some reason, because I guess that's his legacy.
But there's some kind of issue or bad blood going on that we haven't been filled in on just yet. We just know that he wants Nana for himself.
Right.
But yeah, again, before we move on to the end of this scene, right there at the panda exhibit, Kaori again asks Ryo point blank, look, you like kids, don't you? Like, she's really, not giving him a chance to hide it. Because clearly, after all of these other episodes that we've seen, and especially in today's episode, he has a fondness for children.
Yeah, this is not the first time this has come up. And, he doesn't actually seem to fight it.
No.
He sits there and he, legitimately thinks about it. Maybe this is alright.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, we said in another episode how if it happened in a different part of his life with the right person, Ryo does have the capability of settling down, we think.
I would say so. If he had not been put in this really shitty position where, not to give away too much of the backstory that hasn't been revealed yet, but he's forced into this lifestyle where he had to learn how to be a killer, that very well could have been the kind of life he might have led one day.
Well, because I relate it to this thing that I hear a lot about where as you grow up, for a lot of people, you end up becoming the person you wish you had in your life when you were a kid.
That's true.
So if it's at all possible that for Ryo, that's what he's doing, that maybe he didn't have those parental figures in his life, so subconsciously he's becoming that to these kids that he ends up coming across as City Hunter.
Mind you, that's just us spitballing, headcanoning, but I think there is definitely enough information given by the show for us to kind of come to that conclusion.
Exactly. But thankfully for Ryo, it is time to leave the zoo, but unfortunately these 3 thugs that we see with Grandpa over here are not going to let them leave the zoo with Nana. Nana.
Well, they're assholes.
Yeah, and they're about to get their asses kicked. So two of the guys try to immediately, well, one guy tries to take Nana. Thankfully, Rio gets her away pretty quick and tells her, all right, get in the car with Kaori, I'll take care of this. He fights off two of the other guys, like Muay Thai style, doing a lot of elbow blocks.
Block! And they're both just on the ground because he blocked them.
Well, it means, one, he must have really trained for that, because apparently, as we've discussed before, Rio has done a ton of training. It's just entirely off screen.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. And we'll see, especially in season 2, where a lot of that came from. Like, yeah, we're this far into season 1, 34 episodes in, and we're just like, how is he doing everything he's doing? We legitimately don't know. You'll get some of it later. You're gonna have to wait kind of a long time, but they'll eventually kind of sort of tell you.
We'll get there. So anyway, the third guy, this bigger guy, is just beating on the Mini Cooper.
Just punching the window. I'm shocked the window doesn't crack, because this is a big guy, and he's throwing pretty big punches.
Well, is he though? Because he's just tapping the window, and he's not actually making any more, like he's shaking the car, but he's not actually hurting the window.
But he's using his knuckles.
Yeah, even so, it's probably hurting him more than anything. He's probably punching wrong.
I mean, that could be, but still, it's a Mini Cooper. It's so little. He could get in if he really wanted to.
Well, it's the thing too, like he doesn't say like, open the door. He just starts punching. That was his A plan, and he has no plan B for if he can't punch through this window like he has imagined.
It actually looks really sad. Like, you're sitting there seeing Kaori and Nana sitting in the middle of the car going, oh no, this guy is trying to punch this window as hard as he can, this poor man.
But after the first 5 seconds, it's like, oh, he's not actually doing it.
Oh, he's stupid. Okay.
Oh no, it's just sad. Sad man's trying to break the window.
So we don't have to worry about, did Rio have to buy a new Mini Cooper today?
No, he just comes up and he's like, hey man, what you hid in my car?
To leave my car alone, God. But by the way, we still need to go back and count how many Mini Coopers he's gone through before we get to another episode.
Look,
if
we forget again, when we get to the end of the season, we'll go back and do a count for sure.
Okay.
I'm making sure we get this on record now to hold us to it for later.
I think we should just have a count by next week.
If we remember, we got a lot of stuff this week.
That's true.
But thankfully, Rio has successfully fended off all three thugs, and this apparently is enough to clear this level, and you get one mom.
The mom just appears, right, in the parking lot. Yeah, you need to clarify what you mean by that. I didn't know what you were talking about.
Well, yeah, because she comes out from behind the corner she was watching everything happen from, is like, oh my god, Nana, I'm so happy you're safe now. I didn't mean to leave you, I'm here.
Nana's happy. She's great, because she was looking at the pandas earlier like, I sure do miss having my mom, and now look, her mom's right here, yay! Rio and Kaori are just kind of like, well, it had to end sometime. Like, they seem genuinely sad, like, oh, the mom showed up. We didn't spend that much time with this kid. We were having a good time.
Well, like, at best, they've spent a couple of hours. Like, if this is the same day, like, say the kid showed up first thing in the morning, like 8, 9 in the morning, right? By this point, I imagine it's maybe 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
Sure.
Like, they've spent the better part of the day with the kid, which means, one, they probably got attached really, really fast, and two, they were hoping, on some level, both of them may have subconsciously been hoping they would have spent more time playing this kind of house fantasy.
In fact, here in a little bit, Kaori admits as much, because they take them back home so that they can just spend time together at their apartment. The mother and the child can spend time together upstairs or whatever.
And we get the littlest bit of a plot dump that apparently the mom had married the grandfather's son, but the grandfather didn't approve of their marriage, so the son just GTFO'd, and while he was out being GTFO'd, he died.
That sucks. So that explains why the kid is all about having a dad and is really excited about Rio at the very least.
And it's not like Rio bears a resemblance or something. It's just she really wants a father figure.
Sure, and that makes sense. But then Kaori and Rio, they're both sitting and drinking what?
Brandy.
Like brandy. It looks like a bottle of brandy there. And I think they clarify later that it is a bottle of brandy. They're just talking to each other over drinks. And it's actually kind of serious. They've never shared a drink in this manner before.
No, they haven't.
And Kaori's like, I was almost kind of hoping that maybe we could see what it'd be like to raise this kid if the mom just kind of didn't come back. That might have been cool.
She's saying if Nana had been abandoned, I was thinking maybe we could have taken her. Like, there's no point in saying that now, all right? Like, the mom has shown up, your case is done, there might be incoming payment, and you're back to being just good old city hunter like you were less than 24 hours ago.
Uh-huh.
But it's the fact that Kaori just on Front Street is like, you know what? I'm thinking about motherhood right now. Like, after just spending a couple of hours with this kid, I might be thinking about a lifestyle change.
And then Ryo kind of responds, it's like he's half shocked, but also half, like, just wants to check to make sure she's serious.
You're right,
like,
exactly.
Like, he's like, wait, so does that mean that you would want that, like, with me as the dad? And Kaori has to, like...
She's blushing.
She has to backpedal.
She's walking it back.
She has to backpedal, like, no!
Like, no, I was just kidding. But she's blushing.
Right.
Which means she was seriously moved by having to take care of this kid.
And then Ryo doesn't end up, like, teasing her about it or anything. He just kind of lets it go. Like, maybe even he was like, I can't tease her about this. I was kind of thinking the same thing. I don't know.
Like, that's the closest they've ever come to some kind of new new kind of intimacy, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Sure.
Because one, it's the whole drink thing. Like, man, we've had a lot happen in the last few hours. You want a drink? And one of them being like, you know what? Yeah. You want a beer? No, the good stuff. I need brandy. And I'm going to knock that back. Like, we don't know how many drinks they've had before the scene starts.
Oh, I don't think they've had that many.
I mean, Ryo's got the bottle out.
Sure, but I think he has just poured these drinks.
Perhaps. But Kaori's out here getting a little, like, emotional about it. Like, well, if that's not the case, well then, I'm gonna go tell that grandpa what I think of him. And starts trying to walk out the door, and Ryo's like, you don't even know where he lives.
You don't know where he's at. By the way, he's at the door with a gun.
So the grandpa just followed their asses to the apartment. And he's just been waiting downstairs until, like...
this weird, obsessive old dude.
Yeah, like a weirdo. He's got his chauffeur with him, like, you got the shotgun? Great, let's go get my granddaughter. Like, this isn't Liam Neeson here. This is just some old dude who has communication issues.
Right, this is a really terrifying situation to be in. When other members of the family are coming to your door with a gun to get what they want? Like a child? Is this the way you want to handle a child? It's not like the mother kidnapped the child. That's her child.
Yeah, like there's no abuse situation. There's no ill will going on. There's nothing shady. That's her kid. What the hell are you doing, old man?
Right.
I mean, this is not... I really don't want to stick on this. I just have to get it out. This is really not the week for me to see an old man telling a woman what she can do with her kid. I know. I'm just saying.
I know.
When we review these episodes, certain things weirdly hit harder than other things.
Some things happen in the actual world during the week that we record these things. Anyway.
So, unfortunately, yeah, this guy with a gun is like, give me your kid. Oh, wait, it's not your kid, it's my granddaughter. Same thing, dude.
You're both saying the same thing. Also, her being your granddaughter doesn't give you custody of the child? I don't understand. Take that to court, man.
Yeah, this is really a matter for the courts.
Like, if you really want to fight for custody, like, that's a thing you can do. And maybe because you're rich, I'm not saying this is correct, but you might win because you're rich. I don't know.
Now, the weird thing about this, or maybe not so much because Ryo seems to be incredibly perceptive when it comes to this whole case, is that he doesn't fight back one bit. He reads the room and realizes exactly what needs to happen and then proceeds as such, saying, you know what, we're not going to fight him. He's got a gun. I understand what's going on. If you're going to go get her, chauffeur, I'm going to get up right up in your face and I'm going to tell you, do not wake her up. You be gentle with that kid. Like, Ryo, like, subtly implies be kind to the kid, but also there's this undercurrent of, I will mess you the hell up in front of everybody right now, in front of God and the world if you wake that kid up right now.
Like, he's done the right thing because a kid is involved and a gun is involved. That's why what his decision was the correct decision, even though you, I, your mom, everybody in this world knows that Ryo could take them all out right now.
Right. Right.
But that would be the wrong thing to do when there's this kid sleeping upstairs. But Kaori, she doesn't totally get it. She's just like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, and even like slaps his drink out of Ryo's hand.
There's something to be said about that, because she doesn't even her with her hammer abilities could have affected some kind of change. But yeah, it's the fact that she doesn't go after Ryo with the hammer, she just slaps the drink up into his face.
She's just really insulted, and you can tell this isn't the jokey, cartoony anger. This is the real deal. She's legitimately upset about the situation that's happening involving this child and her family.
And most of all, Ryo, because she is on some level aware that he could fix this, but he chooses not to.
But he's got a bigger plan. He lets them go with the kid, again, because there's a gun involved and a child. And the mom is just sobbing, like, oh my god, like, why did this happen? I loved this guy's son. I didn't kill him, but he sure seems to have a grudge out against me, and now he's taken my daughter.
And Ryo's telling her, look, I don't think he's the monster you think he is.
I mean, I do.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I think Ryo is taking it a little too lightly. But
well, he seems to be pretty perceptive on what's going on in his head, in the grandfather's head.
Oh, sure. But still, the grandfather brought a gun.
No, he did. The grandfather deserves worse.
Yeah.
I will say this week he deserves worse. But Ryo tells the mother, who we find out really late in the game is named Reiko, look, for whatever happened between you guys, do you think you could bury the hatchet for your daughter's sake? And she's like, well, yeah, if it's for her, I would do just about anything. So yeah, I guess I could do that. He's like, all right, got a plan. We're going to go down there tomorrow. The chauffeur forgot to take her little Mr. Rabbit. We're going to use that as an excuse to go check on her tomorrow, okay? So next scene, we're at the grandfather's mansion because apparently dude's loaded.
That's what I'm telling you. He could have just gone into court with a bunch of money.
And he's placed, or had the chauffeur, I guess, place Nana in her own bed in her own room that's all been set up for her.
Got lots of toys, trying to really buy her affections here.
Which really should tell you something about how this isn't gonna work. Because at the end of the day, a lot of kids aren't stupid. Some kids can be very intuitive, and they know, hey, at the end of the day, I've been kidnapped.
Yeah, mind you, it is clear that he wants to be with his granddaughter.
He wants a relationship with her. It's the fact that he's going about it the complete wrong way.
This is more than the complete wrong way. This is, if there is a degree of the right way, the wrong way, and kidnap my granddaughter by gunpoint and then try and buy her affections, I think we're at level 3 here.
Yeah, the needle's pretty buried on that side. I can't lie. And so yeah, he not only is he trying to buy her affection, like, look, I got you your own room. I got you all these toys. I got you a dress-up doll. It's great here. The first thing Nana asks, where's my mom? Oh, your mom's gone.
Very far away. And by very far away, he just means he left her at that apartment.
Yeah. Man, it's like, why would you go to such lengths? You could tell if dude tried to do this civilly, he messed that up. But I'm more under the assumption that he didn't try to do anything civilly. He just defaulted straight to, well, my son's dead. Gotta kidnap my granddaughter.
Yeah, there was no... It was just 1 to 100 real fast.
Yeah. But she's there just arguing with him. No, you're lying. You're lying. I want my mom. I want to go home. I want my mom. And thankfully, that's when Ryo shows up.
But the house is guarded. Dude has paid many dudes to guard this house.
But those dudes got bashed off screen.
Right, like, I don't know why he's paying these dudes.
I don't even know why we needed to see him walking up with Reiko and Kaori and even see the guards. We just needed the one frame of him showing, oh yeah, I already beat the crap out of him.
Which we get, we see that, and they're all lying on the ground, all crippled, and they're very uncomfortable and very unhappy.
So now Ryo is in the room, Kaori is in the room, and now Reiko is in the room, and immediately Nana goes back over to her, hugs her real big, like, I want to go home, I want to go home. And the grandfather's still trying to argue, no, this is your home. And Ryo, we see now what his logic was here. He's going to use Nana as the deal breaker here, showing the grandfather, look, no matter how much you try to do this, you can't argue with what the kid wants, because you can't force the kid to do what it doesn't want to do.
Like, do you really want to see this kid that unhappy? Look how happy she is, man. And he realizes, well, I don't want to see her unhappy.
And it's like, like, if you had taken more than a second to think about this, you would realize that you're probably traumatizing your granddaughter.
Yeah, you're lucky she didn't see the gun.
Yes, very lucky. Like, that's a whole nother level of traumatization that I'm glad we didn't have to get into.
Yeah, never tell the child that the one time you showed up at your grandfather's house, it's because your grandfather showed up to where your mom was and put her at gunpoint and said, go get that kid. Never tell this child that happened.
And Ryo explains to the grandfather, look, you can't buy off this child into liking you. She has to want to do what she wants to do. And basically talks directly to Nana, look, if you want to go, we're going to go, if that's what you want to do. And the grandfather realizes, oh, well, like, damn, you're right. Can I at least get like one hug on the way out?
I'm sitting here thinking, like, does the kid want to hug you? Like, don't force the kid. You know what I always hate? And I've seen a lot of other people say this too, is when a parent takes a little kid to a big family gathering and you haven't seen some of these old people in a bajillion years, if ever, like, oh, they saw you when you were born. And you're like, I don't remember this friggin' person. And the parent says, now go give great aunt lady ma'am a hug. And you're just like, gotta hug this stranger? What is this? This is weird.
Well, yeah, I've seen something to that effect online about people talking about teaching their kids from a much younger age bodily autonomy.
Sure.
When it comes to that, of like, you are allowed at any age to not interact with somebody that you're uncomfortable with. That even goes with family members, too.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. And thankfully for the grandfather, there's some bit of mercy that comes out of this, in that when he's there basically begging on his hands and knees, please, I want to be in your life. I want at least the hug if I'm never going to see you again. Something about the way he's presenting himself makes Nana see, well, you do kind of resemble my dad, but just like a really old version of him.
Really old and really sad.
You know what? It's okay. I will hug the sad man. Papa's papa.
Well, hopefully this has sort of rekindled something and make this guy put down the gun forever. Like, can we just not have you try and make deals by gunpoint anymore?
Yeah.
Is that an agreement we can make as a family, please?
Please. You want visitation rights? Ditch the gun. Also, all the other things you did in the last 24 hours, or even further back, because apparently this has been an issue.
Well, yeah, because the mom had to run the kid off because clearly the grandpa was being threatening about this.
Which leads you to believe that he'd shown up with the gun somewhere else, or with the thugs somewhere else.
Right. Attempted this kidnapping some other time previously.
And so her only option was, I have to find City Hunter's address. Found it. All right, we're going here today. Or at least you are. Maybe that's what happened, is that they were like, the thugs were chasing the mom, and the mom just kind of like secretively dropped Nana off. Like, okay, you go here, go with these nice people and play. And then she kept going as though to throw him off the trail.
Entirely possible, because they didn't find them. The old man and his lackeys did not find everyone until they were at the zoo.
Right.
Also, I think that was the mom's fault, because the mom wanted to see how her kid was doing, and she followed them to the Ueno Zoo.
In which case she let him right back to him.
And they followed her to the zoo. Yeah, she did a dumb by doing that.
But thankfully, everything seems to have been solved for the better, I guess.
I hope.
I mean, I really hope.
We're never gonna see them again. I hope that old man never pulled a gun on his family ever again.
I hope not. So Kaori and Ryo kind of just leave him to it, and they're walking off, and she notes on the fact that when they came into the room, Nana very quickly recognized everybody, like, Papa, referring to Ryo, Mama, referring to Reiko, and then when she sees Kaori, she says, Kaori Mama!
Like a totally different mama. Like,
still bothering to give the honorific of calling her Kaori Mama.
Sure.
And as they're leaving, as Get Wild is starting to play, you see Kaori looking back at the mansion with that family in there and kind of remarks on, Kaori Mama, huh? Almost as if to say that the next line would have been, I like the kind of ring that has to it.
Yeah, which is not said, but Ryo doesn't even try to talk her out of the idea either.
Well, yeah, because they walk off in silence. Kaori's just like smiling to herself.
The entire episode, she was very well drawn, and she was very doe-eyed this entire episode. You know, they spend a lot of time throughout the series kind of joking about how boyish she is. There were no jokes like that this episode.
No, she was very effeminate this week.
Her face was very pretty the entire episode.
Very pretty.
They really, really detailed her very well.
And she was also wearing the like yellow dress skirt combo
Yeah.
that she wears sometimes, which I think is one of her more effeminate outfits.
Sure.
So I think they knew what they were doing as far as the costume design goes.
I think they really wanted to make it look like, no, this is, For as much as we joke about her being boyish, no, she really could be potentially a good wife and a good mother.
Right, because she cooks. Obviously, she cleans for Ryo because Ryo doesn't seem to do that for himself. And then on top of that, this sudden influx of having a kid in your life brought out some kind of maternal instinct in her, which we had never seen before, really.
Maybe not so much out of her, but ironically, the weird part is, this is not the first time we've seen it out of Ryo. This has happened like 2 or 3 other times prior to this.
Yeah, so by this point, it's undeniable that Ryo has a thing for kids.
Well, not a thing for kids.
Well, no, like he has a soft spot for kids.
Yeah, there's just a couple of times where he also says weird things like, hey, come back to me in 10 years, baby.
And thankfully that never pans out.
Yeah.
Thank God. But yeah, that's the episode. We're seeing a lot of character development as far as the two of them seeing each other not just as romantic partners, but also what kind of a life could we have together down the road.
Right, exactly. And they don't really talk about what the implication is for the two of them together, but the fact that they're thinking about it at all is like,
Well, yeah, because there's a lot of silent communication there about, you can totally see the logic line between what they're thinking now and to what it could mean down the road for the both of them.
Sure.
Because it's one thing for them to be remarking on, well, are you jealous about somebody showing interest in me? But then it's another thing to be asking about, hey, you know what? You look pretty good as a dad.
Yeah, those are very different kind of needs that need to be fulfilled when you're talking about a relationship.
And I think for now, it's better for the both of them to table that idea, but you know it's in there.
Sure.
The fact that it's been brought up at all, it's a seed,
yes.
You know, and it's just going to grow and grow and grow, and thankfully for the show, it's going to give them a lot of time to let that sprout.
Yes.
But that's this week. Next week, we go back to good old Yakuza plots.
And slightly not so great animation for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, we're going to have to look into that.
That preview, that animation looks kind of weird. I don't know. It looks like animation from the very beginning of the season.
Like those first 7, 8 episodes.
Like really rough. I wonder if the animation order and the broadcast order were like 2 totally different things because they just look so different.
Well, I mean, like at a certain point, once you get past like Makimoto's death, any of the other episodes could have happened out of order, save for like 5 of them.
Sure.
So yeah, it's entirely possible. But we're going to have to cover that next time.
Sure, so do come back next time when we cover the 35th episode of the TV series, Beautiful Newscaster, Ryo's Secret Mokkori Report.
And if you want to catch us outside this podcast, you can always find us both over on Twitter. I'm at JoshKnightFirst.
And I'm at MarzGurl. Thank you all so much for listening to our 34th episode of MokkoriPlay, and if you don't come back next episode, I'm gonna force Josh to defend me against the Yakuza.
What'd you do this time?